Hi, it's VIP Kid Teacher John here. Today I want to tell you how to pass your Level 4 certification mock video class the very first try. Okay, we're going to go slide by slide and I'll give you advice about how to pass. But the first thing I want to remind you, if you qualify to be a Level 4 VIP Kid teacher, you're a good teacher. So relax, be yourself, and you're going to get certified to teach Level 4. The other thing I want to tell you, as you're preparing to teach, remember, it's an imaginary class. So think of a student that automatically comes to mind when you think about a student that's easy to teach, a student that responds well to your questions. Let that student be the student that comes to mind as you're doing this mock class. For me, it was Rachel. All right, also, remember, when you go to the classroom to record your Level 4 certification video, as soon as you hit open camera, it starts recording. So get all your practicing done, and when you hit open camera, now it's time to go. Let's talk about each one of the slides. I can't put them up and show you, but we're going to talk about each one so you'll be prepared to pass your video on the very first try. The first slide you'll see is the VIP Kid travel and recreation slide, that welcome slide. Spend some time here, just like you always do, saying hello to your student. Hello, Rachel. How are you today? Good. It's good to see you. Are you excited about Chinese New Year? You are? Yes. Wow. Oh, you are excited about the food? Great. What food do you like? Dumplings? Oh, they sound so yummy. All right, are you ready to go? Yes, okay, let's go. Okay, so just spend some time just like you normally would starting the class, saying hello to the student, having some conversation. Remember, Level 4 is 70% student conversation, 30% teacher. So let that student talk as you're doing this mock class. All right, the very next slide in the sample slides they give you to review is the reward slide. But when you do the mock in the classroom, there is no reward slide. Instead, it's a warm-up slide. It kind of catches you off guard because you haven't prepared for it. You're going to sing with the student the wheels on the bus. Okay, sing a line, let the student sing. I think when I did this part, I actually said, oh, you know this song? Okay, you sing. And then I sat here and I played the song in my head to give an appropriate amount of time for the student to sing, and I didn't sing at all right? And so that took us to the third slide. Now the third slide it talks about going to places, traveling, going to different places. It talks about the Smith family. You should have these sample slides so that you can review them. And here you're going to talk about traveling to China. It's a great chance to ask your student if they are traveling for Chinese New Year, or if this is after Chinese New Year, did you travel for Chinese New Year? Keep in the back of your mind, these students are a little bit better at conversation than your Level 3 students. So you can ask questions that you may not ask in your regular classroom. So did you travel for Chinese New Year? You did. Wow. Was that fun? Whoa. Have you ever traveled to another country? No. The Smith family, they like to travel to different countries. They are traveling to China. I would like to travel to China. And you remind them here about what travel means, to go to different places. All right, the next slide you're going to see, it says going to places. And now we're talking about a suitcase. We're talking about packing. And you see there Linda and Dennis there, and you explain what a suitcase is, what packing is. This is a great time to have props. I brought a small black luggage, a suitcase, to my lesson. I had it beside me, and I just showed that when I started talking about the suitcase. If you are using something like Minicam, then you can put up a suitcase on your screen. Whoa, look, it's a suitcase. And as you're talking about packing, maybe you show them how you put things in the suitcase if you have a real suitcase. All right, so just spend some time explaining what these different things mean. All right, the next slide that you'll come to is go to the airport. Now, I dug and dug through my children's toys, and I couldn't find an airplane. So I used Minicam and used airplane objects, you can see, and I put those up as I was talking about the airport. Of course, the first step is you read the slide, but now you have some conversation with the student. Have you ever been to the airport? And you talk about where did you go? Did you, if they haven't flown, you ask, would they like to? Where would they like to fly on an airplane? And you just have some conversation and just keep reminding yourself, let the student talk more, let them talk more. And the cool thing about the mock class is it doesn't matter what you let them say. When I did my level 4 certification, I passed the first try. My kids had the right answer. I asked them if they've ever traveled, and then my kid had traveled to Japan and it had a great time and learned about different culture. And so you can let the conversation go any direction you want because you're making it up. Okay, so show the person here that's reviewing your mock class that you can have fun, and you can talk about different conversation points as you're going through this lesson. All right, the next slide. Remember, props are important here. If you don't have the digital classroom setup like I do, where you can put up an airplane, put up a suitcase, you may want to go to a dollar store and buy little props that you can use during the lesson. I had a Batman car, and actually when I talked about how they get to the airport, the Batman car came in. I said, do you take a car to the airport? And so I had some physical props, but I also used digital props as well. All right, now hopefully at this point in the lesson, you've taken your time. Maybe you've used about 7 of the 10 minutes, maybe even 7.5 to 8 minutes, because now the slides are getting a little simpler and you're going to start going faster. So you need to have paced in such a way that when you get here, you don't have 5 minutes left, okay? Because you get to the next slide, after the airport slide, you talk about sight words. How? And so you read the sentence with the student, let them read it, count the time in your head, how long it takes them, and then let them, oh, please, Rachel, please spell the word how. Rachel, can you cover your eyes and spell how? Yeah, good job, Rachel. Okay, you get the idea. Take some time here, really embellish, use the slide any way you want here. You can even have them make a sentence with the word how. The cool thing is they don't have to make a sentence. It's an imaginary person, so their sentence can be perfect. Oh, that is a great sentence. Great job. You get a star. Okay, now I actually used a reward system while I was teaching. The reward slide was removed from this classroom for your mock, but I still used it. I went to I used a Minicam Google slide and went to a teacher versus student. Maybe you have a printout that you hold up or an iPad that you're using. I would say use that. Show the person who's reviewing your mock class, show them a fun reward system that engages the student. Remember, level 4 students are going to thrive with a reward system that engages them, like a game. I used a teacher versus student game about Chinese culture. And so they could choose the Great Wall of China and they would get points for their team. And maybe they would choose the an airplane or a school, and that would give points for me. And so we were competing against one another. Remember though, when you get here in the lesson, you're on the sight words how, you need to have used most of your time. Now you get to the next sight word, it's from. The next sight word slide is from, and you read the sentence with them. You talk about flying from Beijing to Shanghai. Here's another great time to bring in the airplane props. It's also a great chance to ask the student if they've ever visited Beijing or Shanghai. These are really big, well-known cities in China, and so a lot of your students, you'll find, actually have been to one of these cities. My student, Rachel, who I was using for my mock class, I pretended that she was from Shanghai in the lesson. And so we talked about Shanghai, and we talked about it being a big city. Do not downplay the fact that this lesson allows you to create your student's response. Okay, I don't want you to miss this point. I know you've been teaching with VIPKID before, and no matter what you do, you can't get the student to respond, or no matter how many times you tell the student to watch me and you're using your mouth to show them how to pronounce, they just can't quite get it. And sometimes you can burn a lot of time trying to teach, and sometimes you have to move on because the student didn't get the concept in that moment and you're running out of time. In this case, it's not like that at all. The student can always get the question right. You may choose a slide before you start your lesson. You may take this sight word from. You may choose this slide to actually correct the student. You could say from. Listen, from. Okay, and you can take some time and show the student how to go through the pronunciation of the word. Remember, take your time. We're probably, when you get to sight words from, you're probably getting close to about 8 minutes or so. And now we get to the grammar portion. Grammar, we travel by plane, subject, and verb. Now, my student did this perfectly. Remember, for these next 4, you have a subject and a verb. I think on number 2, I hope you have your sample slides with you as you're reviewing this video. Number 2, Mike and I, that's the subject. For number 2, I had my student choose Mike as the subject, and I had to talk to them about it's Mike and I, how they're tied together there. That's the subject. But you just take your time going through subject and verb, and remember, maybe you've taken too much time at this point, and so your student can really ace this portion. They can really knock it out. Wow, good job, you got it. And you can keep moving right along. Or if you haven't used enough time, this is a perfect slide to slow down on and really focus in on one on each individual subject and verb. I got to this point, and my student, for the most part, was flying right through it because I'd used more time on the front talking about the airport and traveling. I find myself in my regular classroom sometimes talking. If I find a student that can really engage well in conversation, I find myself kind of wrapped up in that, and then I'm like, oh, I need to get back and focus on the lesson. So that's exactly how my mock class went. And so I got here, and my student was really doing well, and we zipped right through this one. The next slide is the family, and when I got to the family, I was about 9.5 minutes into the lesson. And so we just said and we said it back and forth, and I would say it in a deep voice, and let the student copy me. And then I got here to the word family slide, the one that has the different pictures with ER, IR, and UR. And my student aced this, of course. They read right through it, and the whole time they're reading, I was like, oh yes, good job. Just giving some positive encouragement. When they got to germ, just like the slide suggests, the teacher tips, I reminded the student that it's not germ, it's germ, germ, and we went through that together. But other than the correction that the teaching tips suggested you make, which I think you probably should follow that tip. I think the people reviewing your video might be looking for that. We went right through this. The student did a great job, of course, and got all these right, and then that led us to the final slide, which was goodbye. And on the goodbye slide, I just slowed down here. Remember, 10 minutes is what they're looking for, but if you go 10 and a half or 11 minutes, it's okay, because just like when you're teaching a regular class, you have 25 to 30 minutes. You may take 26, you may take 28. And so I was at 11 about the time I said goodbye. And so when I got here, I just told them what a great job they did. I reminded them of the stars that they got, and they are so smart. And don't forget to do your homework. And I end all my lessons the same way. Just said goodbye and thank you, and I'll see you next time, that kind of thing. Now, remember, if you enter the classroom to do your lesson 4 mock video and you practice with the slides for a while before you open the camera, that timer has already started. Okay, so maybe when you click open camera, you've already been in the classroom 2 minutes. Don't stop teaching at 10 minutes. You'll need to stop teaching at 12 minutes. You need 10 minutes of teaching time, not 10 minutes in the classroom. Okay, so I think I actually finished with 13 total. I taught 11, but I loaded the slides, read over them for the first 2 minutes. Okay, so remember that, 10 minutes total. All right, well, I hope this has been helpful to you. Remember, the biggest 2 tips I can tell you about passing the level 4 certification and becoming a level 4 teacher with VIPKID is 1, be yourself. Remember, tell yourself right now, self, I'm a good VIPKID teacher. That's how I qualify to do this. All right. The second thing I would tell you is teach a good student with your mock class. Teach a student that is responsive and smart. This will make the mock lesson easier for you. Have fun with it. You've got this. All right, I hope this video has been helpful to you. We'll see you next time. I'm Teacher John. Happy teaching. Click subscribe.